everybody. You're welcome to the maiden edition of Stronger Together, a monthly podcast presented by Abiolad Foundation. Here we'll be discussing about myths about marriage. We'll be talking about what marriage is. Is marriage overrated? A lot of things you want to know about marriage. You want to learn from, other people's mistakes or other people's success in their marriage. You can't stop learning. So this podcast is set out to bless us, to positively, impact us in our relationships, in our marriages. For as many that has lost hope in what is called marriage, it's about, igniting us to carry on, to never lose hope about marriage. So we're going to be coming on here every month, and this is going to be sponsored and aired by Abiolad Foundation. I'm going to be your regular host on this podcast, and my name is Abidemi Oladipo, and I have with me Prince Engineer Anu Obadino and Mrs. Oluwatoyin Obadino. You're welcome.
I'm going to be taking you with some. I can say I know you, but a lot of viewers that are on does not really know you. You want to introduce yourself to us, who you are, where you met.
It's nice being
here. You're welcome. The floor is yours.
The program.
So who's going to go first now?
So how we met in the year 1997. That would be May precisely. 1997 on campus, back then in campus, and since then it's been a great journey together. The ups, the downs, the good, the better, and we hope for the best along the way. So that was how we met. We met on campus, and one thing led to the other, and here we are today. It's been a great journey.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. The only thing I actually grabbed for what you said now was the location, the meeting point, your rendezvous was the campus. The only thing you didn't tell us, you didn't tell us the name of the university. Well, we are not here to debate about that. I want to ask Prince Anu, what initially drew you to her? What drew you to her? We are aware of the rendezvous. Just to tell you that love can be ignited anywhere. So as a single house there, you don't have to take any location, any meeting point for granted. Something can cook up.
Thank you so much for that question. And that question takes us back memory lane, way back. Coincidentally, we were in the same department in the higher institution, and on that beautiful day, I can still mention the color of the cloth she was putting on. So on that beautiful day, I went to our class rep's house to pick handouts. A very good friend also. We're together for over the years. Shegun Fashupe is his name. So I was at his residence to pick handouts. Then we had a particular course, technical drawing, that we're trying to still figure out. It's off-campus accommodation. So our class rep, as at that time, just told me that, I know, there is a lady in our department that draws very well, and she had done all the assignments that have been given. So I was quite curious. I wanted to know who this lady is, because as at that time, even young men had not even done the assignments. So good enough, she stepped out, and I saw her. So, wow, okay. And I kept quiet, normally as trying to portray a gentleman.
But you had grabbed what you wanted.
Yes. Now we exchanged pleasantry. She brought out what she had done quite beautifully. Then she now went back in and she came back with a cup of cornflakes, warm cornflakes, rich milky cornflakes.
Just doing my thing.
God.
I was just
In
doing
a
my
stainless steel, and she handed it over to me.
thing.
And that took you to another level.
And I was like, okay, so let me pay proper attention. She was doing her things normally, but I needed to take. It was a call for intelligence, knowledge, care also. And so those were some of those
Intelligence. That was what launched you out,
Yes.
Mrs. Obadino. Intelligence, kindness. That was the attraction. And here we are today.
Hallelujah.
Here we are today. And that's so, I feel like a man, like I'm actually, looking out. If I'm actually looking out for a girl now, as a man, I will look out for character. I will look out for the gift in that person. So it's actually as a woman. So as a single lady watching out there, the gift in you will actually attract you, not the curves. You didn't even mention anything about her beauty or whatever. But for me, for you, what she displayed at that time, her beauty was her character, was her gift, ability to draw. My own story is another thing, but we're focusing on you now. Fine, you have seen what you liked, and there something was ignited. What was that specific moment that you knew this was it? You were going to marry her.
Okay.
And I think that question should I'm addressing both of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Thank you, Ma, for that question. Well, we were a group of friends from the first time that we met. So we had kind of caucus friends, and among them, we were like six. We were six, and I was the only lady among all of them. We were fervent for the Lord, serving the Lord. We happened to go to the same campus fellowship, the same department, so we were close.
You were all
we used
Christians.
to see, yes, we were all Christians, and we used to see one another almost every day. If we didn't see on campus, we would see in the church, by and by. And among all the friends, I of course I was close with the remaining guys, but exceptionally, we used to maybe to jive in our discussions. Maybe we were freer with
One another.
with each other, the two of us, as at that time. So, and I wasn't really thinking about relationship, about marriage then, because and obviously we were all younger as at that time. I think we should be around 18 years then. All of us, except one of us that was maybe like 2-3 years older than us.
Okay.
So it's after the campus, we were good friends. I wasn't expecting anything like that. So, but along the line, I knew that he had exceptional characters. The godliness was there, and is still there, and that was my benchmark for any guy I'm going to go out with.
So what glue you together now is character plus character. I think Prince saw a kind of character in you.
Yes.
And you too, you were actually attracted to his character.
Yes.
So did 1 + 1 now brought about something?
Yes, I would say that. There are many other people too that had character, but for me, it was the godliness that was a bedrock. Because there were many guys there, but the godliness.
So
the
he
level
had
of godliness,
he had higher advantage over others.
I would say that.
So it wasn't enough for him to have good character, but it was for you. What you were looking at was the godliness
Yes, ma'am.
part of it.
Yes.
Oh my God!
That's so beautiful. I think you both have the same thing that attracted, each other. And one thing I could actually, I actually grabbed from that was that there was a kind of friendship between you.
Yes, strong friendship.
For how long did that friendship last for?
Well, can you go on that?
Okay.
The fact and figures.
From 1997 that we first knew ourselves as mates, colleagues in the same department, members of the same church, fellowship. Back in the days, Christian Union back in the days. I was actually the one that invited her to my department in the church. We were both members in the prayer unit. So we're good friends. We were also members of a choreography group. We sang around, 5 of us, just as she mentioned. She was the only female. We had other persons, but 5 out of those other the old 4 were quite close. So we've been quite close. It was as if we were into ourselves without being pronounced as dating. We were quite relational. We expressed ourselves. We talked at length. We cared about ourselves. We talked. So that went on up until 1999.
For about how long?
Yes. In between it, a year after, I think it was 1998, May 8th, 1998.
So let's conclude that the relationship was solidified on the foundation of friendship.
Of friendship, yes.
Friendship.
On friendship.
That's really goes well with me.
Yes. On
That's
friendship.
I would want to say that myself and my husband, we were more of friend. We were friend. We were not thinking about getting married, whatever. But we were friends. We were mindful of each other. We were we cared for each other.
Yes.
Nothing sexual, but we were friends to the open world. I want to believe that the bond of friendship helps, relationship to go further, and it really solidify any advanced relationship that leads to marriage. I'm gonna take us to one other serious question now.
Yes, strong friendship.
For how long did that friendship last for?
Well, can you go on that?
Okay.
The fact and figures.
From 1997 that we first knew ourselves as mates, colleagues in the same department, members of the same church, fellowship. Back in the days, Christian Union back in the days. I was actually the one that invited her to my department in the church. We were both members in the prayer unit. So we're good friends. We were also members of a choreography group. We sang around, 5 of us, just as she mentioned. She was the only female. We had other persons, but 5 out of those other the old 4 were quite close. So we've been quite close. It was as if we were into ourselves without being pronounced as dating. We were quite relational. We expressed ourselves. We talked at length. We cared about ourselves. We talked. So that went on up until 1999.
For about how long?
Yes. In between it, a year after, I think it was 1998, May 8th, 1998.
So let's conclude that the relationship was solidified on the foundation of friendship.
Of friendship, yes.
Friendship. want to take us to one other serious question now. Well, you're in a world where proposal is very, 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 very welcome. And, the ladies are mindful of the way a man will propose. Engineer, Prince, did you do it in a royal way or whatever? How did you propose to her? Some people may want to use your style.
Well, I don't know if my style would be popular. My style was actually a very blunt style. Seriously. Because we've been friends, we've known ourselves. We discussed at length. She knew my people. We spoke about home.
Regardless, you still have to propose to some people.
So for me, it was just
be genuine with us. We're not gonna. It doesn't have to be the flower.
I remember everything. So on that fateful day, there was riots on campus.
Oh.
And graciously for us, it was maybe around the last vehicle that came around that we took to escape the riots. So we got to my place closer to the school. You are smiling. Know what to do. So it was just on the, he just turned to me, and he was like, "Will you marry me?" So I'm like, "How? Wait,
just like that?
What?"
From the blues.
In fact, I wasn't expecting it. So initially I felt like, is it because we are close? Do you want to take me for a ride?
You were going to get angry
because I wasn't even thinking about it.
It was
like
shocking
that.
for you.
It was quite shocking for me. So I'm like, in the midst of all this chaos, and you are still talking about
viewers
can marry me.
Viewers, Prince Anu,
in fact,
Engineer Anu proposed in the midst of riots. Regardless of what you are going through. He didn't want his love to be taken away through if he had not done that, maybe another man would have taken
I think that's part of it.
Yes. He said, "I'd rather do it now." So wherever, whatever, however you propose, for some people, he didn't want his love to be taken away through if he had not done that, maybe another man would have taken
I think that's part of it. Yes.
He said, "I'd rather do it now." So wherever, whatever, however you propose, for some people, does not really matter. And in his own context and frame of proposal, there wasn't exchange of flower. There wasn't a ring in the bread. There wasn't ring in the ice cream.
No.
There wasn't ring. I've seen all kind of proposal. There wasn't ring in the rice. So I've seen people who have swallowed their ring in the course of proposing, disguising, whatever. But where we're actually going now tonight is that you proposed. You knew what you wanted. You both were friends. Your friendship was not just, you didn't just grab her anyhow. You knew each other to an extent. So in as much he proposed to you in the midst of riots, it was shocking, but it wasn't a time for you to say no. You knew what you wanted and you had met that value. And here we are today. And that takes me to another question. After the proposal, the marriage clock, the marriage train kicks off. And something would have brought you to this stage. How old are you in your marriage now?
We are 15.
You're 15 years. 15 is an handful of days, of minutes, of years. You have kids, don't you? How many children do you have?
Two.
You have two. What are their sexes?
A male and a female.
Oh, a male and a female. You see, for a marriage to have, thrived through 15 years, something must have kept you going. What are those values that you believe has helped you to get to the stage of year 15? You know what I mean? What are those values that has kept your marriage together?
Thank you very much for that question, Ma. We can't explain what kept us without pointing to our roots, who we are. And that has been the strength over the years. We, from the first time we met, way back in school, as very young, we did not even get married until after 10 years afterwards. Then into the marriage. But our foundation that we cannot but mention is Christ. And I will explain that.
Okay.
For the home, we often feel that a home is made of two persons. In our case, that is not. Christ is. Christ, however, is not the third party. Christ is the first party. As I often mention, if we, for instance, go through the scripture and we look at the three Hebrew boys, we often represent the fourth man in the fire, and we said as the Son of God, the fourth man. I perceive that is actually the first man because he was there before they came in. So for us, Christ is the foundation. And for a follower of Christ, if you follow Christ, you can only but love the way Christ loves. And what is the definition of love? According to Christ, you love till a point you can die for it. If you could love so much that you can lay down your life for it, then every other thing becomes secondary. So love is, and love, of course, for God so loved the world. And love is totally giving, absolute giving, without even expecting in return. So that makes the journey easier when you can give all things, when nothing is yours. When you can give and give and give your life and give all things. Thank you.
Thank you.
The journey easier.
Sorry, I'm cutting you. For me, you have made, so some key points there. My question was, what's value? What are the values that are important to you that has kept you this far? And what I was able to grasp is that Christ, you copied, you emulate Christ. Those principles that Christ has displayed, as in endless love. Love that is not conditional, unconditional love. So those principles has been what you both use to relate with one another. That's absolutely amazing. And you see, for any journey, I know there's usually a vision about it. You picture it ahead. Fine, you're now in your own. How did you picture your future? Well, what did you envision as in, in the journey? Because for me, if I want to tutor my girl to marry, can you see your future with the person you are actually, going to use the rest of your life? So what was your picture? What was the preferable future that you both imagine? Because some people just go into it. We're not planning. All I wanted to do was to get married. Was there any kind of something that you envisioned for the future? Very briefly, please.
I would say that with all issues that is surrounded with marriage, I as a person, I've always had a kind of exceptional lifestyle that no matter what happens, our home will stand. So, and it's a kind of having a kind of resolution that no matter what happens.
So you were committed,
yes,
with that, with that picture that regardless,
yes,
this must work.
Yes,
it must work. It was a journey of no return for you.
Yes.
Is that still with you, engineer?
Yes. If I could add to that,
okay.
Absolutely, ma'am. But let me add to that. I remember back in the years also, there was that mind flow where people would always say, if a guy is asking you out, ask the guy, what is the purpose of God for your life? If the person cannot say what the purpose of God for his life is, then run. At a point, she actually discussed that and asked me. And at that point, I couldn't say this is the purpose. But I was able to say, I'm a follower of Christ. Wherever he goes, I go. I may not see the entire picture, the entire journey, but as long as I am following Christ.
So you believe that the driver
Yes.
was Christ?
Yes.
And wherever the driver, who is Christ, goes, that was your vision. So Christ that you believe in was your vision, was the mirror that you actually...
Yes. There are other traits that are secondary.
But that was the lead.
Yes, there are some other traits that are secondary: ambition, dedication, focus, hard work, smart work, and the rest. But the principle is Christ. She has a saying. She advises young people, and she would say, if you find somebody that loves Christ, it's not possible for a man to love Christ and not love his own. Because Christ is the center of it all. You can't love Christ genuinely and not love your own.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope you are grabbing something. You learn every day. You gain knowledge every day. And I want you to follow us as we delve into the corners of your privacy a bit. Thank you for having us. Thank you for allowing us to do this to you. And for so many homes, I've met people whereby they dictate, this is what you're going to be doing, this is what you're going to be doing, this is what I have to do in this marriage. And we've seen people who never really sit down to discuss about responsibility, duties. Has there been a time? Do you share responsibilities and duties? Do you sit down and this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to do? So in a very short and simple way, do you share responsibilities? How do you do that?
Well, we've not, in the years of our marriage, we've not had any time like that will say, oh, this is what you do, this is what you do. Because because just as we are following the example of Christ, whosoever that is cool with that step at that time picks it up. And there has never been any kind of disagreement on who does what. We have never sat down as a couple and say, oh, me, I'm the one doing this, you are the one doing that. It has not happened since we have started. So, because we think so much alike, so we already know who is doing what, and it has never caused any kind of confusion, any disagreement in our
well, everything seems very rosy, and my viewers will be wondering, are there no times that they fight, that they disagree? I disagree with my husband. We disagree, we argue, but like you said, one of our home principle really was that no matter what I do to my husband, no matter what he does to me, and the other side is not, we don't deny ourselves certain things. One of those things, if we disagree, for example, if my husband comes in the night and tap my shoulder, if he calls me the first time, the third time, I just pray that he doesn't go. But he will not even go. But I wouldn't deny him. So how do you handle disagreement? How do you handle disagreement? How do you handle conflicts? Because there will be a time you disagree.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that? How do you deal with that?
Okay. Thank you for the question,
Most of the things we would say, they are more particularly personal to us.
Okay.
It is not one way that fits all. What may work for us may work differently
for others.
Yeah. For instance, that we do not share responsibility does not mean that sharing responsibility is bad. No, it's not. Every couple has disagreements. they will have their differences. And of course, we have ours also. But some of the foundation for us is when we have that maturity in play. For instance, we believe that whosoever comes to make amends demonstrates maturity more. Coincidentally, I do that by virtue of being the man. It's easier for a man that wants peace, wants to forgive before the offense comes. Good enough, both parties would offend.
So you
one party, of course, we do that every time. We won't say that we don't have differences. We have differences. There could be little things, but we know that we are stuck together. And what I would advise is that when there are such, a party must always make that move early, because when you don't, you are only missing out of life. When you don't make amends, you are losing the time of life.
The time of life connected to the marriage.
Exactly.
You are with the joy that is attributed to marriage. You are just depriving yourself.
Exactly.
Viewers, can you grab something? Each time you learn not to love each other, you learn not to forgive each other, you are just depriving of yourself of the value that is, and that marriage itself entails. Tonight on our flyer, what we really have is for a lot of people, what marriage has been misinterpreted. Marriage to some people, I was with a social worker today. We were working together, and she was like, I'm not going to marry, and nobody's going to hold me for this long. I think marriage is interpreted individually in diverse ways. For you, what is marriage to you? What is marriage? You are innate, so you should be able to define what that is. I'm going to define marriage in another context. To you, what is marriage?
Well, I will basically say that marriage it's lifetime, it's life, it's togetherness. Marriage is meant to be enjoyed, not to be endured. It's to create a world that you actually want, that you envision for the future, which is quite possible. Just that people say, oh, marriage is overrated, because it's about the life. So we cannot but talk about it. It has great importance on our lives. Whosoever I marry to determines how my future looks like. So it is so important. I got married at age 30, So the remaining part of my years, I will spend it together with my spouse, meaning that it's so important, and definitely it's just like life, which we need to hold in high esteem and to attach so much value to it. So marriage is a lifetime.
For you, marriage is life.
Yes.
And life is meant to be lived.
Yes.
So you came together, two lives came together to create another life. And I want to believe that life is being, looked at by another person.
Yes.
So to you, marriage is not just for yourself.
No.
You are creating a life for others to look at. Engineer Anu, Prince Anu, Obadino. What's I don't want to answer me like what kind of identical twins now.
Okay.
I expect you to give me something different. Don't give me Mrs. Obadino's something. To you, what's marriage?
Well, marriage is an institution that enshrines the purpose of God for mankind. Of course, literally, we know that marriage is the coming together of the male and the female. That is marriage. But the purpose behind it is given by God. Beyond procreation, marriage is an institution to bring up the next generation of our kind after God. So there's a purpose to marriage. However, the God that institutionalized marriage also defined marriage as being selfless. When we talk about the coming together of the man and the woman, when we read in the New Testament, it talks about, man, love your wife as Christ loves the church and gave his life for it. And turns to the woman and says, respect your own husband. I believe the scripture has given the two of them the same thing, love and respect. So the maker of the home has a purpose behind it, and that is for raising up our kind, for union, for fellowship, for being together, but it comes under that selflessness, that giving.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've actually extracted a lot. Marriage is built on relationship. It's extracted out of love. It's built on life that is worth living. It's supposed to be enjoyed, not endured. You have made valuable points, and that's going to take me to a very common, point that actually has been a positive and negative, I would say more of negative influence on marriage, and that is the conflict between marriage and tradition. Has there been a time, a point up to now in the past now, or something you foresee to really creep into your marriage, the relationship between marriage and tradition, or what we can call culture? Has it played any role or any negative effects on your relationship? That you have allowed some, you might have allowed some, you might have not allowed.
Well, I would say that marriage and tradition or culture, they are two different things. If care is not taken, they may really cause a lot of disagreements in the family. For instance,
so when you allow tradition, is that what you're saying? Tradition, when you allow too much of tradition,
yes,
in your marriage.
Yes. So when we talk about what is tradition, what is culture, they are the things that people come together and they put in place to guide individual behavioral pattern. So in our home as well, of course, we may have kind of maybe what we do, how we need to do things, but for us in our own home, on the basis of friendship that we have, the foundation of friendship, it had really allowed us to be free with each other. We could discuss without any fear or any kind of, it is good, when we say, oh, in our house, this is how we do things. But we don't really have much of what that gang us, maybe something that put us in a kind of cage where we are not free with each other. For instance, now some people believe that, oh, you need to call your husband, that did something. My husband detests that. He doesn't like that. He rather prefers that to call him
our daddy.
No. So that's how we do, that's how we live our lives, and that's how I can't imagine maybe tomorrow it will change for us. But we are comfortable with it. He's comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with it.
So for you, the relationship, the cordiality that you have between each other as friends does not really allow a lot of traditional tools to probe into it. Well, that's amazing. On a last note, we have just a few more minutes to round up now. What advice do you want to give on to struggling couple, growing couple, oncoming, young individuals who want to go into marriage? How do you want to encourage them? Some people have given up. How do you want to, ask them to push on? that marriage is worth it?
It's okay. Thank you so much for that question. Just like what we've been talking about, you know, the foundation of marriage is very important. The foundation of any project is so much important than what we are building on it. If we do not have a solid foundation and we put a beautiful and a great edifice on it, before we know it, it will crumble. So the foundation matters in everything that we do. The side of godliness, being the first man in relationship, it's very, very matter. And at the other hand, the commitment towards each other, putting the needs of your spouse ahead of yours. Do not see that it should always be about you. You ensure that, you put the needs of others first ahead of yours. Then I will talk about friendship. I will talk about commitment.
Friendship,
yes.
Commitment,
yes.
And love.
Love. And for us, this is our 15 years. And all through those 15 years, there has never been the first time that somebody will say, Anu, why did you do that to your wife? Toyin, why did you do that to your husband? We have never discussed any of our issue with anybody, and they are now settling matters for us. It has never happened, and it will never happen. So, friendship, commitment, resolution, that no matter what happens, we sort it ourselves and we get the victory together.
Let's quickly round up. We have just a few more minutes. If you're saying now that nobody has ever come in to settle matters for you, are you now telling us that when people do that is wrong?
No, it's not. You need to understand each other. If you see that, this is getting beyond you, it's getting beyond what.
So it's never wrong to speak out. It's never wrong to call third party. Third party that can add value.
Exactly.
That can, that you can really respect.
Exactly.
To undo matters for you.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing having the Obadinos here. I've really, for myself, I've learned a lot of things. For me, one thing I'm not going to forget that I will take out today is you see, you have never mentioned about beauty. There's nothing wrong in you seeing somebody you like and it's beautiful. But beauty fades. Beauty fades is a cord of friendship that lasts. For myself and my husband, we're going to be 25 years in 2 days' time. We are more of friends. The friendship that we started, before we met, which is actually a good foundation for any relationship to thrive. The way I will relate with my female friends, with my other male friends, that's the way we relate. Because sexual drive at a time, no matter who you are, no matter how energetic you are with your sex, the sexual drive will go down. But you are going to be left with a cord of friendship. Thank you so much. It's amazing and it's nice having you here. And we hope to go with the value that you have deposited today. And we hope to invite you sometime, maybe when you are, let me not say 20 years, when you are 8 years, when you are 28 years, 25 years, or 20 years anniversary. We are looking forward to having you back here again. And next month is going to be another edition with another beautiful, couple. So much our American viewers, Nigeria, Canada, UK, my amazing, people from the city of Sunderland. Thank you. It's nice having you here, and I hope to see you next time, next month precisely, and that's going to be a beautiful one again. It's December, edition. God bless you, and see you next month. Thank you. God bless you. You're welcome. See you some other time.